This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about champagne wishes and caviar dreams, fast jackets and furry juices, and trap music in Santa Fe. All that and more as we watch Season 7, Episode 3 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Sophia. I'm one of your hosts, and joining me as always is your other host and my brother. What's up, Imran?
Wait, I'm your brother? Oh, I am.
I'm your brother.
You're my brother? I'm your sister. What's going on here? I'm good. I'm excited. I'm just sitting here, just randomly thinking about how crazy the real estate rental and owning market is.
Are you one
days.
of these people who just scrolls Zillow as a hobby?
Sometimes. Like, you know, we went through this whole thing with our mom with buying a house, selling a house, buying a condo. The market is insane. Have you seen these TikTok videos of these New York, Manhattan apartments that are...
Well, that's always been New York
the size of a closet, and it's like $2,000 a month.
Oof.
I'm like...
No, it's more than that.
What? I've heard people are now... bidding more rent. They're outbidding each other, not in a price to buy a property, but in rent. They'll be like, I will throw even more of my money away if you give me this.
Is that here in Chicago?
I think it's definitely here.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's unheard of. I never thought we'd see a market where people are like, I'll give you $2,001 to rent this. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God. That van life's looking pretty good to me right now.
Van life's dope, yo. I like those videos. Like,
I'm going to buy a giant camper and just take off and sell everything. I'll take our mom with us in the camper.
To be nomads,
she would like that.
Such a great fun life.
Travel around headlining.
You could easily do that.
Clubs.
It's cheaper than rent, so rent is bad now. But has it always been this way?
All right. Speaking of housing costs in Chicago and a little tangent and stuff, we are talking about Season 7, Episode 3 of Perfect Strangers, entitled This New House.
Oh, this is a new house. I see what they did there. Very clever. Very clever.
Well, the thing is, there was an old classic, beloved house remodeling television show with Bob Vila that was called This Old House.
Yes.
But if you recall... This show has already used
Why didn't they use that title? Right. Season 5. It was an episode. They've already burned through This Old House.
Where they got stuck in the chandelier.
Season 8 has an episode, I believe, titled This Old New House.
This like kind of old, but recent past house.
This New Old House. There's two more titles you can milk out of this. House. But this time they're like, This New House.
This young house.
Why this new house? Well, listener, if you cracked open that TV guide and smelled that newsprint back in 1991 there, you would have read Larry and Jennifer settle into a pricey new home with great hopes for the future, but without the money to afford the rent. Oh,
dun, dun, dun.
Some things don't change, it appears.
Larry and Jennifer in 1991, just wait till you grow up a little bit and you get to 2024.
It doesn't get better.
It doesn't get better. We have in this episode back in 1991 our gentlemen and their significant others, Bronson Pinchot and Marklyn Baker playing Balky and Larry, and Rebecca Arthur and Melanie Wilson playing Marianne and Jennifer. And then we have one guest cast, which we will get to.
And we are now at October 4th, 1991.
Ooh, it's fall.
Air date. It's fall. The leaves are changing. Halloween is around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Perfect Strangers can be purchased and watched on Amazon Prime Video.
Yep.
By the episode, by the season.
Give your money to that Bezos guy.
Buy the physical DVDs. That way you always have it.
Yep.
So there it is. Still has not popped up anywhere.
Yeah, if anyone knows anything about that, let us know.
We'll be hoping, but I don't think it's
fingers crossed. Let's get into this episode. This New House, Act 1. Balky and Marianne are in the guy's apartment, like canoodling on the couch. Not really canoodling, just sitting close and talking.
They got some dim lighting.
And some like romantic
some
music.
old-timey jazz, soft light jazz romantic in the background. Oh, it's Moonlight Serenade, I believe.
Glenn Miller
Orchestra.
Yep.
That's old school.
Very romantic.
Yeah.
And then they start kind of snuggling and canoodling. And then Marianne kind of like looks up and gets lost in space.
She's just looking
Just
off
lost
into the
in thought.
distance, right?
And Balky
Blankly.
says, "You seem a little distracted tonight, my little pork loin."
I love what he
His
calls her.
Meposian pet names are all like pork loin.
I love what he calls her cuts of meat.
And she says that she's just thinking about Jennifer and Larry. And here we get a
Where
little
are they?
background.
Oh, here's the plot.
They're arriving tonight back home from their honeymoon
Okay, so last time we saw them, they drove off in that car, just married,
with shoes
from
and cans.
leaving prison.
Correct.
Shoes and cans. So they've been on a honeymoon this whole time. Let's presume they're just getting back.
Couple weeks, something like
There's
that.
the timeline. Great. Okay, continue.
And Marianne says right about now, Larry's probably carrying Jennifer across the threshold of their new apartment. Isn't it romantic?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
New apartment.
Hold on.
What's happened here?
Hold on. So they're coming. They must have moved before they left for the honeymoon, or maybe they had movers move their stuff while they were gone,
Sure, you
and
can
they're just
arrange
like
that.
coming straight home.
But at some point they
to
had
the-
found a new apartment that we didn't hear about.
And like what? And yeah, I wonder what Balky and are Balky and Marianne going to get new roommates? How are they going to afford?
Do the bookshelves look any lighter?
They did. The house did look a little emptier.
But there's still furniture and there's still stuff.
Furniture. There's still stuff.
And
Okay.
what was the arrangement with their other two?
I don't know. Maybe they were going to look for new roommates.
You're going to
or
have
something.
to find. Can't find someone to take your place. Split
Balky's
the cost.
mail room salary
He works
won't
in
cover
the mail
whole
room. There's no way he
rent.
could pay for this 2-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
extravagant-
So anyway, but we don't know any of these details. What
No.
we do know is that they have moved out, Jennifer and Larry, to their new apartment, and they were going straight there after returning from their honeymoon tonight. And yeah, she's like, he's probably carrying her over the threshold. Isn't that romantic? And Balky's like, yeah, but unless cousin Larry threw his back out, in which case cousin Jennifer is carrying him across the threshold, which is still kind of romantic in a 90s kind of way.
I don't know. What does that
Even
mean?
more so
Progressive?
now. Yeah, I guess we started getting progressive in the 90s.
Why can't the woman carry me? I'm tired.
And notice that he's calling Jennifer now cousin Jennifer.
It's so cute. Yes. Now
From
they're
the
married.
wedding on,
From
yeah.
now, she's going to be cousin Jennifer. And then Marianne gets a little saucy and gets
Yes.
some thoughts into her head. And she goes, Balky, as long as the lights are down, and it's just the two of us, why don't we take advantage of this situation?
She's being all flirty and cuddly, and Balky's like, oh, I know what you're thinking.
And she's slowly leaning in, closing her
kiss
eyes
him.
to kiss him.
And then Balky goes, shadow animals.
and
And he stands up off the couch, and Marianne falls forward,
It's pretty
face
funny. Right on her face.
front into the cushions. It's really funny. It's actually funny to see the girls do some physical comedy. in this episode.
Yeah. There's more of that this episode.
So she just falls like topples straight over, face plants into the cushion. And Balky's like, I'll go get the screen and the lamp.
This creep.
And Marianne's like, no, that wasn't what I was thinking. And then he's like, oh, what were you thinking? And then she like does a sly little finger inviting
The
him.
finger wag.
The finger wag.
Come
here.
hither.
Like come hither.
Come here.
And Balky goes to the couch and he sits down, and then she like aggressively grabs him, and they start like sitcom making out.
Oh, they're making
which
out.
is like
Pretty-
so weird because her body is like straight like a plank.
Yeah, both of them. And it just doesn't seem very comfortable.
It's like exaggerated,
across on the sofa.
cartoony
Yeah.
sitcom making out.
It's aggressive. She's always aggressive with him,
Yeah.
right? So they're making out when suddenly the door bursts open. It's Jennifer. She switches the lights on and she goes, Marianne, I'm going to need the keys to the apartment.
And the two, Balky and Marianne, don't even hear that they carry on making out. They didn't even hear her come in.
Yeah.
And the focus of the camera is now on Jennifer and Larry, who just runs in after her, and he goes, okay, so I made one little mistake.
He's wearing like a bag,
And
like
she's
a travel
upset.
bag, right?
They're just
Yes.
back from their honeymoon, and she's already pissed.
not
She's
happy.
mad again.
What was this mistake Larry already made?
Jennifer says it wasn't a little mistake. You didn't put the deposit down on our beautiful new apartment, and now it's someone else's beautiful new apartment.
Oh, bummer.
Oh,
that
that's
sucks.
a big.
That's big. They lost where they were going to
But
live. But
again, so many questions. Like,
did we just talk about what they could have
did they move before they went on the honeymoon?
Are they just going to an empty apartment?
Exactly.
And we're just going
And this was the first time they were coming to it
See, the
straight
pur-
from the airport or whatever.
Previously, it made it sound like they may have arranged movers to move them
Yeah.
into the new apartment that would already have been secured.
But
and
maybe
signed
they
off
did.
on.
But the movers couldn't get in because they didn't pay and they had no way to contact them on holiday, and so they just
all their stuff is still here in the building.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on. Anyway,
also, they never tell us where they went on the honeymoon.
I know that would have been nice to know.
That would have been nice.
It was probably a disaster, and they probably almost died.
So anyway, they're right. First day back from the honeymoon, Jennifer's already upset, very upset with Larry. Like, okay, well, we never believed that she liked him anyway.
Apparently, they have.
And so they lost their apartment because Larry didn't put the deposit down. He has no excuse why or story. Like, we don't know why, what happened. And then he's telling her, I promise you, by this time tomorrow, we'll have an even nicer apartment than the one we lost. And Jennifer is really upset. She's like, that's fine. But until you find that place, I'm staying here upstairs in the old apartment. So she helps herself to Marianne's purse that's on the coffee table. They're still making
out throughout
in the background. Marianne and Balky are still canoodling.
Yeah.
And she grabs the keys and she storms out. And then Larry runs after and goes, well, at least let me carry you over your old threshold.
I don't know. Does that count? Is that as fun? I don't think she's going to let him. She doesn't seem to be in the mood.
And they leave one after the other, and he turns
the lights off, shuts the door.
Turns the lights off, and then Balky and Marianne emerge from their canoodling session, and they look around, and Marianne's like, "Did you hear something?" And Balky's like, "Nope," and they go back. They didn't hear any of that fight or anything. They were in their own world.
That's so funny.
That's kind of a funny little.
That's cute. Yeah, did not even bother them. They had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
As we transition to the next scene, we are treated to an establishing shot of this giant, what appears to be mansion.
It looks like
it's
mansion.
A gray stone mansion.
And it's like no house I've seen in Chicago, by the way.
4 floors, possibly an attic.
Where did these kind of houses?
There's a big pointy turret roof.
In Chicago.
There's a tower on it.
It's like a Victorian style
with
mansion.
Steps up to the landing, so there's a basement. That's easily 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 or 5 levels here.
Like,
what is
where
this?
does that exist in Chicago? Maybe some ritzy suburban neighborhood?
This would exist like up in the north suburbs.
Like Hoffman Estates or something. Yeah.
Highland Park area, Lake Forest, maybe. But I don't know. Maybe that, but I think this is a shot from a building in California. Okay. I imagine.
Anyway, we see this like big, like it looks like an Addams Family house almost, or like one of a house on one of the older sitcoms to show like, I don't know. Anyway,
it's kind of a cool looking like fortress,
but it's just weird
house.
To think of that in Chicago somewhere. So then we cut to the inside of this home. And I was trying to think if it was the same set as the inside of the home where they got stuck in the chandelier. It could be kind of.
That home is that episode, This Old House.
Was that I know. And did the outside look like this house?
I don't think so. But the door was a little different. I'm sure they just rebuilt the house set.
The house
it's kind of similar.
Like, I don't know. I think it's different.
They'd have to tear down and put the sets back up, right? So they just put it up however. Because the door was in a different stairway, was different. But
now we see this like huge empty like foyer area living room.
There's a stone fireplace. There's a staircase going up to the right.
And then
big windows. It's like wood paneling.
Huge ceilings.
And blue walls.
Hardwood it's like floor, very nice ornate but empty, right? Like completely empty. And we see them coming back into the living room, like on a tour by the owner, the house guy, whatever. Not the owner, but
that's Mr. Dexter.
Mr. Dexter. And he's like, we have southern exposure here. You'll get lots of light all day long. And then he's like doing the tour. And then we hear Balky from the top of the stairs go, "Look out, everyone." And then he runs down the stairs going, "I'm racing my jacket down the laundry chute from upstairs to the basement." He runs past them. So he like runs down the stairs through the room and like exits the other side.
It reminds me of our old house and the very small laundry chute we had.
I know. I forgot about that until we moved.
You couldn't race that one. It was very tiny.
Yeah, they closed that up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But homes used to have laundry chutes.
It wasn't even a chute, though. That was just an opening.
It was literally
in the floor, a hole in the floor.
Yeah, down the floor
from the floor from one room to the other.
And so Belky runs by, and Jennifer says to Larry, "I love this house." And Larry's all, It's everything. She's like, well, he's like, nothing's too good for you, sweetheart. Oh, and they share a little kiss.
Everything I ever dreamed
It's everything. She loves this house.
She dreamed of that house.
I guess so.
What a high maintenance lady.
And then Balky comes back in excited with the jacket. He goes, yes, I won. He goes, and this is one of my fastest jackets.
So then Jennifer asks Mr. Dexter to see the upstairs again. So they go upstairs. Now, Mr. Dexter is who? Mr. Dexter is played by a guy called Jack Stouffer.
Oh, Jack.
Was in, like a lot of other people we mentioned here, is in a long list of television shows, a long storied career. He was on All My Children, Battlestar Galactica, The Partridge Family, The Bionic Woman, The Rockford Files, Hawaii Five-O, The Fall Guy, Dynasty, Growing Pains, Quantum Leap, Designing Women, Lois and Clark, Melrose Place, all those shows in the 90s.
Man, everybody was on Quantum Leap after this show. It's great.
Well, Quantum Leap had a cast where like every week had a different story.
Yeah, you could throw in a whole bunch of people.
Lots of different people. So Jennifer and Mr. Dexter go upstairs to see things again. And Larry turns to Balky and he's like, this is great. Jennifer loves this house. And Balky's like, yeah, you're going to be so happy here. And Larry's like, no, we're not going to live here.
I love Larry's delivery. He's like, oh, we're not going to be living here. I can never afford a place like this.
Yeah.
And he smiles. And Balky's like,
Balky's very confused.
Cousin. He goes, cousin, I know you think of me as a simple country pumpkin.
Instead of bumpkin.
And then he goes, who just stepped off the goat
instead of off the boat.
I like pumpkin and
but
goat.
But this works too.
Stepped off the goat, same thing. He got off a goat cart. He goes, but why would you show Jennifer a house that you cannot afford? The question that we are all thinking, what is going on here? This next bit of reasoning kind of does not make any sense.
Well, Balky, it's simple, he says. And you know when Larry says it's simple, it's going to be something like
not
so
simple
wild.
And convoluted and ridiculous.
Sure enough, he goes on. You see, I promised Jennifer I'd find her a terrific apartment to make up for the one I lost. I couldn't. All I could find was a dump. Now, when Jennifer comes back downstairs, I'm going to insist that we take this house. She'll know we can't possibly afford it, but I'll tell her I'm willing to sacrifice anything so she can have it. She still won't take it, but she'll think that I am the most wonderful husband in the world and will live happily ever after in that dump. Get it? What?
I'm not sure that makes a lick of sense.
Who wrote this? Like, that's the solution they came up with in the story?
There's a couple of shifts here that happen, but like a lot of this, I had to watch this 3 times before I actually realized like what they were doing, right? So he just said, I'm going to show her the best thing so she knows I'm
going to lie
trying.
to her.
Yeah, I'm going to lie to her.
So that she thinks I'm a good
trying,
person.
And she's going to love me and we can live in the dump, but she's going to love me because I showed her that's how. Okay.
What?
Okay, that's a big stretch,
and
right?
Balky doesn't get it either because he goes, get it? And Balky says, I'm close, but could we take it again from Balky? It's simple.
That's a great line.
From the beginning. Yeah.
And he tries again.
Mm-hmm.
He says, Balky, all you have to understand is that the more Jennifer loves this house, the more she's going to love me. So forget everything else he just told him, Balky. All Balky now is going to remember is the more cousin Jennifer loves this house, the more she will love cousin Larry.
And I love that they made him repeat that because that's a signal to us, to the audience, that's going to explain what his behavior in a little bit.
Because that confused me. Yes, we'll get to that. This whole thing is so confusing.
What Balky is taking by repeating this and understanding it is that like
the amount she loves this house will equate how much she loves cousin Larry.
And relates,
And he wants her to love cousin Larry.
Right.
He just deleted that whole first part that Larry spit out
just like
about his motivation.
The
He doesn't
level
remember
of
that
love
anymore.
for the house is indicative of the level of love for Larry.
And just like that, on cue, Jennifer and Mr. Dexter return.
Yeah.
And he asks her what she thinks, and she goes, it's an amazing house. Jennifer says she loves this house, but we can't afford it. And then you see the smirk on Larry's face. Because
he does like a little nudge, wink, wink.
He looks over, turns to the balcony, because this is exactly what he was expecting. And he tries. He goes, well, if you really want it, we'll just sacrifice it, make it work somehow. And he goes, I'll probably have to work a lot of overtime, maybe even get a second job. We won't be seeing each other that much, but hey, if this is what you want, we'll get it. So here's his effort at being a good husband.
And Jennifer, again, maybe she falls for it because falls for his plan because she says, Larry, I do love this house, but it's too expensive, so I don't love it that much.
See, this whole thing is
interesting way how they worded this.
Yes, I don't love it that much, but this whole plan is risky. It's all based on the hope that she's going to do exactly what you think, right? So hearing that, Larry's
like, okay.
He goes, okay, if that's the way you feel, this is how his plan was supposed to go. He's about to say we're not going to take it.
But Balky just heard Jennifer say, so I don't love it that much.
So what does he hear in his head?
Oh, no.
She doesn't love the Cousin house. Larry that
means
much.
She doesn't love Cousin Larry.
And he can't have this.
And so Larry's about to go on with his plan, and Balky interrupts, and he goes, are you crazy? To Jennifer.
Yeah.
He says, do you see this same house? I had 3 spacious bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Did you see the laundry chute? And Jennifer's like, yeah, I saw it. It's very nice, but it's really just too expensive. And Larry again tries to jump back in to take control. He's like, well, if you think it's too much. But Balky again interrupts. And he says, but how can you put a price on the happiness that living in a house like this could give you? He thinks he needs to save Larry's marriage.
Sell this to save his marriage. And Larry's freaking out.
And then he's like, did you notice the window seat? And he walks over to the other side of the room. There's like a little alcove by the window.
It's really nice. Yeah, there's a place you can sit. It's great.
A little cubby area. And he goes, do you know how many women in America would give their eyebrow to have a window seat
just
like
one
this?
eyebrow.
Just one eyebrow. But in Meepos, they only have one.
They only have the one. I got it. I just got that.
And he's like, think of those cold winter nights and it's way too windy to sit in the window seat. You want someplace nice and warm? You got it. We got a huge fireplace. And he's like, look at this. It's a walk-in.
No, he calls it, look at this. It's a walk-in fireplace. As he walks over because it's so big. But just the idea of a walk-in fireplace. Yeah,
because he had to crouch down
is hilarious.
His apartment.
You just walk into the fire. Oh, my God. Walk-in fire.
And then Larry's like, what is Balky doing? And he starts to panic and he tries to interrupt. He's like, wait, but if you think it's too much. And then Jennifer suddenly is swayed by Balky's reasoning. No. And he's like, Larry, Balky's right. This house is too good to pass up. She goes, I can work extra flights. It's worth any sacrifice. And before he can say anything, she turns to Mr. Dexter and she goes, we'll take the house.
And then Balky and Jennifer hug Larry with Larry in the middle, and his face is hilarious because he's like,
panicked.
Oh no, this whole stupid plan of mine backfired. Larry,
what
did you think was
going to
happen?
See a mansion?
Well, that is also a good question. Why would you take her? And that comes up later.
Well, that was part of the plan.
Take her? Yes. What a risky plan, Larry. That's all I'm going to say. That was the riskiest plan you could do. All right, that will fade us out into our first commercial break. Before we get into Act 2, listener, you can join this conversation. Join our Facebook group. There is a link in the episode description. I post a thread for every episode we record beforehand. You can watch the show. You can ask questions. You can leave your observations, any memories you have of the show. We'd like to roll it in and share it at the end of the show. And you can meet other listeners of this podcast and fans of Perfect Strangers. Lots of fun, nice, awesome people over there.
We've got a fun little group. Come and join us.
The Dance of Joy podcast group. Join it today. All right, sister.
Okay, Act 2. Now we see an exterior shot of this big mansion, Victorian style house again with a overlay caption that says one week later. But of course, this was like 30 years prior to
it's not
SpongeBob.
The SpongeBob.
Meme,
yeah.
But this is now how we hear this every time. Anyway, it says 1 week later, we cut to the inside of the house. The living room is still empty of furniture, okay, except for right in the middle, a couple wooden crate boxes that Larry and Jennifer are sitting on in the middle of this
and one
space.
Crate is being used as a table as they eat dinner off a tray.
A little plastic tray with a little plastic spoon. Larry's sadly eating bite after bite.
There's one glass sitting there.
And Jennifer.
And these two do not look happy.
No, they're miserable. Jennifer, they're bundled up in sweats and stuff, and Jennifer's hair is all messed up. Jennifer's in this big oversized sweater that was very 90s.
She still has big bangs, though. Big explosion of it's like a flower on her head. It's great.
Anyway, Larry's looking very sad, eating something very sad from a sad plastic tray. And we find out that they are leftover meals from Coach from Jennifer's flight. She's like, that's all I had left over. I'm sorry. And then she offers him another bag of peanuts.
Would you like another bag of peanuts?
And he just takes it quietly and puts it on his tray and keeps eating with a little plastic spoon.
Does not look happy.
And apparently it's freezing in there because Jennifer goes, it's so cold. And she gets up to turn the heat on the thermostat, and Larry goes, don't touch that. He says, don't you remember? We made a choice, pay for heat or pay for the rent.
Oh, my God. But you know what's
They're
funny?
They're really in a bad way here.
That establishing shot we just saw that said 1 week later. If you notice, there's people walking by. There's like a jogger wearing shorts. It's sunny. I don't understand why they're cold.
You know, and that was the 90s.
Like a nice day outside.
That was before climate change and our crazy weather that we have now.
Changed very quickly.
It was more predictable in the
But
90s.
They just showed outside. It looked lovely.
It was California.
It looked warm. There was a jogger.
You didn't see that.
No.
You didn't see
Okay.
Those are just crazy Chicago joggers.
I'm not sure why it's called. But anyways, yeah, he said we could either pay the heat or pay for the rent. And she goes, I thought we sold our wedding gifts to pay for the rent. He goes, no, we sold our wedding gifts so we could turn on the electricity.
Oh, my gosh.
Just like, Larry, it's cold. Oh, and then things get personal.
This is a little risque for TGIF.
Things get personal because she's standing up. She goes, Larry, it's cold. I need to keep warm. And you certainly haven't done anything lately to raise my body temperature.
Ooh, I was like, what is she talking about? We're on TGIF.
Snap.
She's going after suggestive.
She's going after Larry's manhood there and his performance. Wow.
Anything lately? They've only been married for like a month or something. Anyway.
Yeah. So then there's a pause, and then he suddenly looks and he goes, I've been under a lot of stress.
Yeah, he's like trying to defend himself.
Which is the common excuse.
And they get into a little bit of argument because Jennifer's like, that's not my fault. You got us into this mess. And Larry was like, but you're the one who just had to have this house. And Jennifer is like, you're the one who found this house in the first place, which is a good point. I was like, why did you
take
that
house? It's too risky.
And then we hear a familiar sound at the door. It's a shave and a haircut, knock, knock.
Shave and a haircut.
Knock, knock.
Minutes.
Yep. But it's just the first part of it.
Oh, yeah, I think he does the whole thing. Yeah. He goes, dun, 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 dun.
I thought it was just the first part. Yeah. Anyway, Jennifer's like, I'll get it. I wouldn't want to put you through the stress of opening the door. They're getting so
snippy at each other. Burn.
They're really going at it.
Man, Jennifer.
That's not a good start to their marriage.
Cold. She's cold. Okay.
And Jennifer opens the door, and we have Balky with this big jar holding a huge jar of like reddish liquid.
It's red juice. What is this? Yeah, it's
in a jar. There's like stuff floating in it. And
I love it. He walks in and he just looks around. He's like, He goes, I love it. I love what you've done to the place. He goes, I'm so glad you didn't fall into that Santa Fe trap. Now,
what is a Santa Fe trap?
Nobody understands this reference.
I tried to Google it and I just found out about trap music in Santa Fe.
No, that's probably wouldn't work.
No.
So from context, one could inference that he is making a comment about a certain style of interior design that was popular in the time period that everybody did, the Santa Fe style, whatever that meant, like colors from the Southwest and adobo things and I don't know, ceramics.
Right. In fact, a rudimentary research on Google
you did find something.
That during the 1990s, apparently there was this fascination with the architecture, interior designs inspired by the Southwest.
Sure.
So like that Places like Sedona and Santa Fe and stuff like that, like earth tones, Arizona, adobe architecture,
like red brick stuff.
And like light blues and kind of,
So that explains some of the style in the 90s, I guess.
So the line, I'm so glad you didn't fall into that Santa Fe trap. Does that just mean like everyone was doing Santa Fe in 1991?
I guess. That's what he expected to see when you redo a house.
Listeners, that's our best guess about this line.
And
but if
also,
anyone knows better than
now
us, let us
there's
know.
some decent trap music in Santa Fe.
And
There's some
now
literal
apparently
Santa Fe trap.
There's a great Instagram account about it.
Literal Santa Fe trap
Santa
has
Fe
materialized
trap.
32 years
And
later.
it's going to start showing up on our Spotify's
Yes.
any moment now.
Put it in your Spotify.
It's already there. They heard us.
So what's this jar? Balky tells them he's made them a housewarming gift. He made it for them. He said it's a big batch of ferret juice.
Gross.
Then he says, just let the fur rise to the top and then skim it off.
Okay, hold on. Ferret juice
I'm
is
so confused.
a juice that ferrets drink,
Or
or
is
is
it
it a
made
juice
from ferrets?
made from
Well,
ferrets,
there's
which is
fur
pretty
in it, so
gnarly.
maybe it is made from ferrets, but I thought it was for ferrets. It's all entirely unclear.
Maybe fur is an ingredient in
You
the juice
do
for ferrets.
Have to skim the fur off. It's very important.
That's like one of the wildest ones. Usually when he says
What do you think
something,
that
I'm
tastes
like,
like?
I could go for
Yeah,
that.
that
but
is just
this
ferret
is
juice.
just vile.
Did he like milk ferrets? Can you milk ferrets?
Who
Is
wrote
it like
this
cow
line?
juice?
Why,
Right,
do you,
ferret
how,
juice?
why would you even write this?
Is this like a street drink on me posts? What is going
ferret
on?
juice?
I think you can milk a ferret.
Is it supposed to be a play on carrot juice?
Maybe it's red. I can see that,
Carrot, ferret.
but gross. Yeah.
Gross. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jennifer's like, ugh, okay, thank you. And she takes it. And then she's on her way to the kitchen, but she stops to pick up that one glass that you mentioned. And she goes, I'll just go wash our glass.
That's all they have is one glass. And Balky looks around. He goes, this minimalist look you're going for is really starting to come together.
Oh my God, that's
There's
how my
nothing there.
apartment looks. You've
yes,
seen
it
it.
does. It looks a lot like
I'm
this. There's
very
nothing there.
minimalist.
Larry's like, Balky, this isn't a minimalist look. It's a poverty look. He goes, we can't afford anything. And then he's like, and it's all your fault. He realizes that it is kind of, well, it's not Balky's fault. It's his fault.
And he does he jumps up and like grabs him by that classic like strangling look that became very, very
It's very
popular
Bart
in the
and Homer
90s too.
Simpson.
Yeah, from Bart and
Yeah.
Homer. But I
This is
think it's been around since like the Stooges and whatever.
Probably
else.
Laurel and Hardy, early vaudeville
But
slapstick.
he does that classic like strangle you.
You grab
at
him
the
and
throat.
shake him.
He goes, it's your fault we live like this. It's your fault for convincing Jennifer she wanted this house and turning my life into a living hell.
And then Balky, because he's being choked, he pauses for a second. His throat's being choked, and he's like, cousin, if you want to choke me, if that makes you feel better, go right ahead. And Larry does choke him for a little bit longer and then hugs him. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. And he finally goes, I'm as much to blame as you are. Okay, he's taking
look
some
at
ownership.
that.
But he says, I just wanted Jennifer to be happy at the start of our marriage. It's not going very well.
Nope.
And now look at me. I mean, I'm eating airline peanuts and then he just starts to hesitate. He goes, I'm too tense to perform my husbandly duties.
Gosh.
He's trying to tell Balky
Oh my gosh, that's still risque for TGI.
about the performance. And Balky
And Balky's
thinks
like,
he knows what he's talking about.
Balky hears husbandly duties and he goes, oh, that's horrible. You make cousin Jennifer take out the garbage.
That's kind of funny.
That's what he thinks the
innocent
husbandly
Balky.
duties are. If that's the case, then I'm a terrific husband. I take out my garbage all the time.
I take out that. That's my job here. That's what you do. So the husbands do.
Well, I guess I'm a good husband. Jennifer comes back from the kitchen and she's had it. She has made a decision whilst she was in the kitchen.
As Jennifer does. Way to flip-flop,
She goes,
Jennifer.
Larry, I can't go on living like this. This house is cold. We're eating airline food. What happened to any sacrifice is worth
Yes,
it's worth
we'll
any
make
sacrifice.
We'll make it work. Isn't that what they
She
were?
goes, this house is cold. We're eating airline food, and I just broke our only glass.
Oh, that's kind of sad, though.
That's what made her change break.
That was
She's
the
like,
last. Yeah,
Larry,
that was the
we
straw.
have to move. We can't afford this house. Larry reminds her that they've already discussed this, and there's no way they can break their lease. And he says, but, maybe my night job at the slaughterhouse will come.
He's going to work at the slaughterhouse.
Very Chicago.
And then Jennifer begins to act like Larry and acts like Larry for the rest of this episode.
Oof.
Just like Larry
Interesting
was
writing
choking
here,
Balky
folks.
just then. She grabs Larry and starts choking him and yelling at him.
Find a way to break our lease.
She's just
Find a
yelling,
way to
"Find
break
out
our
about
lease."
lease." Balky breaks it up and she lets him go.
Calls her cousin. Cousin, stop it. Stop it.
Balky's like, may I make an observation? He goes, I sense a lot of tension here.
And he says, look, the landlord looks like a nice man, and I'm sure he'll understand if you explain things to him. Just go to him and tell him the truth.
Tell him the truth.
And Larry, for the first time ever, like hears Balky right away and goes, that actually might be crazy enough to work.
Oh my God. So out of character for everybody here.
Well, what have we got to lose? I'll just go talk to Mr. Dexter and tell him the truth. I haven't tried that. And then as he leaves, he's like, maybe he'll feel sorry for me. I know I do. Yeah. Oh, boy. And he leaves, and Balky's as shocked as we are. He says, well, feed me nails and call me Rusty. I like that one.
Feed me, call me joke.
Yeah.
There's another one coming up, too. They do it twice in this
I like
episode.
this one.
Feed me nails and call me Rusty.
He's going to tell the truth.
Jennifer says Mr. Dexter is never going to let him out of the lease. She's being very realistic.
They don't even explain that either. Like, they didn't show him to be like an uptight kind of guy.
Or anything
they showed him
where
to
it's
be
like
very
you
friendly.
cannot,
Can you give us a little bit of background and hint about why he's such an obstacle and absolutely will not let them out of the lease?
What has happened here is Jennifer is now neurotic Larry, and she goes, he's never going to let him out of the lease. We have to help him. I have a plan. And she grabs Balky's arm.
Oh, God.
And Balky goes, oh, God. So now Jennifer's got a plan. Balky's doing
roll
the
reversal.
Oh, God.
She's playing. It would have been funny, however, if they had her say it with a pause Larry does.
Oh,
I have
a
plan.
Yes.
Yeah, like that with the oh, God.
That would have been good. A little attention to detail, right? What would have taken to do that? But they're giving Jennifer all of Larry's bits here.
I'll talk about this later, but I think the writing on this episode was
interesting.
So lazy.
It's interesting. So they run out of the house and they go back to the apartment where all their stuff is. Mm-hmm. They still live there.
All the stuff is still there. Well, Balky's staying there. And she's like, she rushes him to the telephone in the kitchen counter and she's like, come on. Larry's with Mr. Dexter. And Balky, this is an interesting way to explain things. He's like, oh, I just figured out what you want to do here. You want to call Mr. Dexter and pretend that we are people who want to rent the apartment for more money.
Yes.
And Jennifer's like, yep.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
He does say apartment.
Rent the apartment.
Instead of house, which is interesting that they left that in.
Yeah.
They may have not had a better take, or they were like, whatever.
Right. But anyway, he's like onto her, and she's like, yep. And Balky's like, that's dishonest, and I'm not going to let you do that.
So he figured out their whole plan already by the time they get there.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. So, yes, and he says he's not going to do it, and I'm like, he's not going to let her do it. And Jennifer's like, okay, Balky, we'll do it your way. And she walks over to the phone, and she goes, call Mr. Dexter and tell him the truth. He won't let us out of the lease. It'll take every time we have to pay for the rent, but eventually we'll run out of times. We'll be living on the street. And she's standing there, and they're standing at the counter at the phone, right, across from each other.
Oh, hello, manipulation.
And she pulls the Larry bit as she looks off into the distance and goes, oh, look, who's that? Balky, who's that digging through the trash for food? And Balky goes, Mrs. Schlegelmilch? We get a Schlegelmilch mention.
Yeah.
She goes, no, it's Cousin Larry. And who is that pathetic little creature in rags next to him? And Balky's almost crying. He goes, me? I don't know why he thought it was him.
No.
She goes, it's Cousin Jennifer. She goes, they're hungry. Oh, sure, every once in a while you'll come by our little cardboard box and give us some food, but one day you'll come by and we won't be there. And Balky's holding back tears. She goes, why not? She goes, we'll be dead. And he starts crying.
And he starts sobbing. And she's
like, but hey, the important thing is you didn't have to lie. She pulled a complete Larry manipulation.
And then at this point, Balky's like having an emotional fit. He's sobbing. He's like, no, Cousin Jennifer, I don't want you to be dead. And Jennifer's like, we have to be dead.
We're dead. She's like, we're dead.
No,
we're
don't
dead.
be dead. We're dead. We're dead. I don't want you to be dead. We're fine. And she goes, fine, make the call.
And then she just snaps and turns and Balky's like, you're good. Yeah, she got him completely emotionally
very
twisted
Larry
and
of her. Now,
these two are great together, it seems.
Do you think that's why they did this role reversal? Because they could have easily done this whole scene with Larry.
Because the next bit is Balky's big bit, right? To finish this whole thing.
Yes.
We'll get into it. But I was thinking they could easily had Jennifer go, you know what? I'm going to tell Mr. Dexter the truth.
She's the sensible one.
She would have made that true. And then Larry would have been like, oh my God, this is never going to work. We have to help her. Oh God.
Yeah. And then he's more like, yeah.
And he'd be like, Bucky, here's the plan.
We're going to pretend to want to rent the house, whatever.
And this is all. So one of two things.
That makes more sense, but.
Could be explained one of two ways.
Okay.
One is that the writers are trying to show us that these two are perfect for each other.
Right, because they probably got a lot of hate mail saying we don't buy it, even
they're
after
both
the wedding.
The same kind of bad, flawed people.
Yeah.
The other way is maybe it's a little lazy, and they're like, we're just going to write Jennifer as Larry for this one time.
Just for kicks.
Just for fun. We're switch it up. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I think it maybe, or it could have been a mix of both.
How you like.
But here comes Balky's big scene because Jennifer says, fine, make the call. He says, oh, you're good. So he picks up the phone. She dials the number. And we hear Balky say, Mr. Dexter, this is, and then before he could say his name, Jennifer's like, Balky, stop, disguise your voice. And he's like, what? She goes, pretend you're someone else. He's like, who? And she goes, anybody, just do it. And there's a beat where he's like thinking about it, and then he puts the receiver to his ear again, and what happens?
We hear a wonderful impersonation as Balky goes, this is Robin Leach, wishing you champagne wishes and caviar dreams from my
exclusive state-of-the-art super villa in fabulous Puerto Vallarta.
So now Balky Bronson Pinchot gets to do this Robin Leach impersonation.
Okay. We have to tell people, I mean, all of our listeners probably remember Robin Leach, but
well, at the time there was
not a name we hear.
There was a very popular TV show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous,
right? In
which this guy, Robin Leach, and I don't know what his credentials were. Was he rich? I don't know how he got this gig.
A British American entertainment reporter and writer.
It was MTV Cribs before Cribs. He got to go into he
was a print journalist before that.
All the celebrities' houses and look at how they live. And that was a show where you can see all the glamour.
And it was
glitz.
At its peak in 1991 because it ran from 1984 to 1995.
I remember watching this because it was just extravagant decadence. The only place you could see it. And Bronson Pinchot did a series of Pepsi commercials where he also did this Robin Leach.
And he had that very British announcery voice.
But a lot of people were doing the Robin Leach.
Yeah. Robin Leach actually was with us until recently. He died in 2018.
Oh, he did. Yeah. So that was his, but man, what a gig for Robin Leach. Yeah. It's like, my job is to go to rich people's houses. What a fun.
People do that now on TikTok, but.
That's true.
But back in the day, there wasn't TikTok and there wasn't even MTV Cribs. It was the original version of this.
It was huge. The only person he could think of in the moment was to be Robin Leach.
Balky's big scene continues with him doing Robin Leach voice. I don't know. Do we do this in the voice or no?
I don't know. I mean, basically, he does the thing where he says he was in Chicago and he adds a lot of adjectives.
Oh, yeah. So these lines are written
Robin
exactly
Leach
how
would talk.
Yeah, what would be on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
He name drops a couple of people like Charles and Diana, the Prince and Princess of Wales, right? He says he saw this house and he wants to rent it. And then, we should do the line. Yeah. So he says he mentioned this place to Charles and Di, and the Prince and Princess of Wales were wowed. And then he goes, what do you mean it's already been rented? And he goes, no. He's like, I've already invited Liz and Joan and Liza and Ivana for I pull out all the stops fabulous housewarming.
Okay. Liz and Joan and Liza and Ivana. Who do we suppose we're talking about?
I believe that's Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay.
My guess is Joan will be Joan Collins, perhaps.
Okay.
Or Joan Rivers. But if it's Robin Leach, it should be Joan Collins. Liza Minnelli.
Yeah, that's my guess. And Ivana Trump.
I'm thinking Ivana Trump, which was
there's no other
Donald's first wife there, right?
Yep.
So this is who Robin Leach would hang out with, I guess. So
were these four known to socialize together?
Possibly.
In the early 90s,
maybe Elizabeth Taylor, Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
But it's a weird.
I feel like we're missing some other cultural thing that connects.
It's a weird four names to name drop, but he's being Robin Leach. He's name dropping celebrities. And he tells Mr. Dexter he needs that house. Money is no object. Larry's there, right? And he goes, the current tenant is there with you. And I love it. He goes, fabulous. It's real life drama at its best. So he tells him if he can get him to break the lease, he will offer him $100 more a month. And he's like,
only
no.
$100.
And Jennifer is signaling him to go higher. Kind of, it's like the Price is Right. Higher. He's like, did I say 100? I'll give you. He's like, did I say $100 more a month? Small change in the glittering world of top real estate. He offers double what they're getting. Mr. Dexter isn't buying it. He goes, triple. I'll give you triple what you're getting
Jennifer's
now.
like doing motions. Keep going up. Keep going up.
He goes, I'll give you triple what you're getting now. That's almost 3 times as much.
I love that line.
And then he goes, Mr. Dexter, I need that house. Call me when it becomes available. And he goes, my number is, he's about to give him their phone number.
Yeah.
But Jennifer's like, no. And she prompts him by holding up fingers.
Yeah.
To give him the number.
Over and over again. And
so he's like, okay, 5554693. Will I repeat that?
And
sure.
Jennifer's like, oh no.
So just do it again. She's holding up the amount of fingers, right?
Yeah.
5554693. And then she signals the okay sign.
Yeah.
And he goes 0. And then she goes no. And he goes no.
No. Into the phone. Yes. Yeah.
And she starts waving him down like on the runway. And he's like, go, go, go. And then she makes another gesture, and he goes, I'm going to kill you. I give up to Mr. Dexter. And he's like, oh, Mr. Dexter, goodbye. And then he signs off like Robin Leach does. He goes, and remember to always reach for your dreams in life and love, and you too will be winner. Thank you for joining us. I'm Robin Leach. And he hangs up the phone, and the audience erupts in applause.
Jennifer's just like, so we see a little bit of physical comedy.
Yeah, she was hitting him. She was gesturing. Yeah. This whole scheme of hers as Robin Leach. I mean, it's a pretty good Robin Leach, I guess.
Yeah, and as you said, this is not the first. This is not the only time that Bronson will use his Robin Leach impersonation, because he used it in some of those Pepsi taste test commercials.
And it's always fun to hear a different voice come out of him. That's not Balky.
Oh, and in fact, one of these lines. Quoted one of Robin Leach's.
That's his catchphrase.
Champagne wishes and caviar dreams.
Yeah, that's what he would say on every episode of that show.
Yeah. So then we cut to another scene, and some time has passed, and Larry returns to the apartment. He's all excited. He runs in, and he's like, "Oh, this is a little funny gag. I don't know. It was okay, but it was cute." Larry goes, where's Jennifer?
She's upstairs, Belky says.
I got to find her.
She's upstairs.
I got to talk to her.
Well, cousin, that don't change the thing. She's upstairs.
No, there was one more even. I got to tell her some great news. Then he says,
she's upstairs.
She's still upstairs.
She's still upstairs.
And he's like, tell me the news. And he says, all right, Belky. He goes, he tells him he just came from Mr. Dexter's office.
Belky is expecting what? Him to tell him he got out of the lease.
Yeah. And he's like, you'll never guess what happened. And Balky says, tell me, don't keep me in suspenders.
That's funny.
Instead of suspense. Larry's like, okay. I went to try to get us out of the lease. And Balky's like, uh-huh. He's like, at first he wasn't budging. He was pretty firm. He was going to hold me to it. But then I told him the truth. Me, wow. Larry Appleton. And here's the weird part. It worked. The truth worked. I don't know how. I don't know why, but it worked. And Balky says,
get out of the city.
He does the little dance and spins around. The plan's working so far.
Oh my gosh.
But then Larry's like, wait. It gets better.
Uh-oh.
You'll never guess what happened. And Balky's like, tell me, cousin. I could never guess what happened. Not in a million years. Could I guess what happened? Tell me what happened. And he makes a W in the air. It's kind of funny. Yeah. And Larry goes, the phone rang. Oh, this is the phone call.
No.
And he says he could tell from Mr. Dexter's end of the conversation that someone was interested in renting the house. And he goes, you're not going to believe who it was.
He's like, who?
Robin Leach. Larry says.
He's like, no. And he pushes Larry's face.
Yes. And then he goes, no, pushes again.
Yes. Robin Leach wanted to rent the house, and he was willing to pay way more money than we're paying. Well, that's when I saw my chance.
And Belky goes, oh, God. Uh-oh. Oh, that's what I saw my
So
chance, Larry. What happened?
Didn't work.
What did you do? No, what happened?
He said Mr. Dexter was just about to let him out of the lease, but he was too smart for him.
Oh, boy.
And Balky's like, please don't tell me you were too smart for him. And Larry's like, I was way too smart for him. When he wasn't looking, I copied down Robin Leach's phone number.
Oh, no. He goes, oh, no.
And Larry's plan is to call Robin Leach and sublet the house to him for 3 times what they're paying. And he says, we'll make 200% profit every month.
So, really, out of all the plans we've
This one
had,
actually makes sense.
this actually was a good plan Larry had. Like, it was smart. And
Did Robin Leach say why he wanted to rent and not just buy the place?
I don't know. Nobody bought back stuff. Back then, it was all renting. There was no buying. I don't know. But I was like, this time, Larry, actually, you're making sense. It's a good plan to make some money, sublet, but that's not the result everybody wanted.
And he's very excited. He's like, we're going to be rich. You know how he gets when he gets his money-making schemes. And he picks up the phone.
He's got the number. He's going to call Robin Leach right now.
He starts to dial it, and Balky tries to stop him, and he pushes like... He pushes like the base of the phone. Yeah. What do you call that?
The receiver end where the numbers are. Yeah. What do you call that? The body of the phone?
Yeah. Anyway, the main
but he
part
slides
of the
it down the counter away from him.
And Larry's
he's like,
still
there's something I got to tell you.
Receiver on the cord, and
Larry's like, hold on, let me make this call. And he slides it the other way. He's like, cousin, I really got to tell you something.
And so they're playing this physical game of pushing the phone around, and Balky's trying to move it away from him. Larry keeps moving it back. He's like, and Balky's trying to interrupt, and Larry's determined. He even tries to like take the cord out the back.
Yeah, it looked like he was about to pull the thing out, but no, Larry dials the number.
And he's like, hello? Pioli's Pizza. And then he goes to Balky, who's, why would Robin Leach call and leave the number for Pioli's Pizza? And Balky goes, well, cousin, perhaps he's smitten with their, and then he goes into the Robin Leach voice, spectacularly succulent Sicilian sausage pizza with a delicioso deep dish doughy crust.
And then he just stands there with his mouth open as Larry has finally clicked what happened, and he drops the phone and starts to choke.
Strangle Balky
across
way
the counter.
Again.
I like the little mention of Pioli's Pizza.
Last time.
Yeah, and you know what? Judy Pioli directed this episode. Yep. She's directing a bunch of episodes this last season.
Yum. And now I'm craving pizza.
We should call that number 555-4639.
Pioli's Pizza?
Is it still Pioli's Pizza?
I wonder if there even is a Pioli's in Chicago.
No, probably not. There probably never was. They made it up. It's fictitious.
Pioli's Pizza.
Okay, so time passes. We transition back to the house as Larry rushes through the front door calling for Jennifer. And Jennifer comes down the stairs and she's like, I'm so glad you're home. I have great news. And Larry's like, I have great news too. And he says, remember, we decided the only way we could afford this house was to rent a room? Jennifer goes, yes, I do. Oh.
First of all, why did it take them so long to realize that was an option?
I know. Yeah. Maybe we can help get someone to split the expenses. They should have talked about that
as they were even considering the house.
That never came up. Nobody came up with that idea until way too late. So Larry goes, since you were going on a long flight, I decided to take the responsibility on myself. I found us a roommate. Oh.
And Jennifer's like, oh, that's very sweet. But I thought that since you've been working overtime, I would take the responsibility of finding a roommate, thereby reducing your stress because she doesn't want him to be stressed for his husbandly duties.
You know what? She's being sincere here.
I found us a roommate.
So she found her. So that's nice. She's being sincere. Larry's been working overtime, so they're trying something. I believe her in this one. This one, she's not attacking his manhood. She's trying to be helpful.
Well, yeah, but it was still a crack at his manhood from the stress, mentioning the stress.
Larry says, though, that's great, but I found the perfect roommate. And
Jennifer's like, okay, but I found the perfect roommate.
Oh, boy. They each found the perfect roommate.
And they look to their respective sides, and from downstairs on Jennifer's side, we see Balky run down the stairs. And
Jennifer goes, come on down.
And then from the other side, where Larry's looking, we see Marianne enter through the front door with a suitcase.
And Balky runs down the stairs wearing an apron and holding a ladle. What?
Yes, we'll talk about the ladle in a minute.
Why is he upstairs with a ladle? So they each stand next to the opposite person.
Yeah, and Balky looks over and says, Marianne, what are you doing here? And she says, I'm going to live here. So Larry had found Marianne as the roommate.
And I was like, why did they pick each other's?
And Jennifer had found Balky as the
Why
roommate.
did they pick each other's friends, not go to their friend?
Maybe
Because
they
thinking of
wanted
the
to
other
make
person.
the other person happy.
I mean, that's really sweet
And then
if you
just
think about it.
But both of them thought it was cool to just leave one of the four.
I mean, he was going to
on
leave
their own.
Balky hanging.
Yeah. And she was going to leave Marianne hanging.
We're all leaving this
weird
building,
idea.
and you're the only one left here.
Yeah, what a weird idea.
You can hang out with Mrs.
Or
Schlegelmilch.
maybe all these other unanswered questions from before had some story behind them. Like maybe one of them had already found another place to live or another roommate or whatever.
It's possible,
so like,
but it's
okay,
weird.
But then this third one's on their own, so we'll invite them. I don't know.
But
it's weird. Why would they?
Conveniently, everything has worked out.
Because they found each other's former roommates to be the roommate.
Yeah, so Balky goes, Marianne, what are you doing here? I'm going to live here. And Balky goes, she going to live here? And then he goes, well, feed me, Bran, and call me regular. There's the other feed me, call me joke for the episode.
I'm going to live here, too.
I'm going to live here. Feed me, Bran, and call me regular. It's
Yeah.
funny. So this is when they realize.
And Jennifer
that
and Larry
there's-
are like, whoops, what did we do? And then Jennifer's like, wait, very conveniently, there are 3 bedrooms.
Yeah, perfect. One
Because,
for the two of them.
Balky and Marianne can't share.
No, they're not married.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that on network
And
television.
TGIF, you
Yeah.
can be married to share a bedroom. There are 3 bedrooms, so, very convenient.
And Marianne says we can split the expenses. Brilliant. Why
And Larry's
somebody-
like, great, we'll still have some money left over for a few luxuries like food and heat. And Balky's like, yay, this is great. Let's have a big celebration dinner. He goes, I hope you're all hungry because I made a big batch of pig snout. That's why he's got the ladle.
Okay.
I've got it marinating right now in orange Kool-Aid.
Oh.
See, that I could get behind, but the ferret juice was
The
weird.
ferret juice is well, but pig stout and orange Kool-Aid, that's a lot of sugars. Maybe
Yeah.
it caramelizes when you cook it. How does
No,
this?
I bet it's
how long?
I bet it's good, yeah.
It's like a sweet and sour, savory.
Yeah.
And Balky's like, hey, this will be great or what? And they all squish together in a 4-person sideways hug.
Okay, so speaking of a little bit more about that ladle, apparently there were some things in a previous script or like things that got cut. In another version of the script, Jennifer says she's going to go up and take a nice hot bath before dinner. Balky's like, you can't do that. I'm soaking the snout in your tub. He's soaking the pig snout.
That's where
in
he's
the Kool-Aid.
marinating the snout and Kool-Aid.
And she's like, why did you use our bathtub? And he says, because I'm using the other tub to cure the goat shank. And then he's like, after dinner, we can race our sweaters down the laundry chute.
So
Whatever.
3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. That's nice. Maybe
At
there's
least,
3 bedrooms.
yeah.
Maybe there's an ensuite bedroom in the
I bet
master.
that mansion has more than 2 bathrooms.
That place is huge. What about the basement and the attic? You could do so many things there.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay,
they've settled
so
that
the-
everyone has a place to live. There's one thing
Yeah.
left. We
So
cut back
the
to.
the story is essentially over at this point, but we cut back to the empty apartment.
This
now.
is so sad. We cut back. It's nighttime, and the whole
Furniture's
apartment
gone, shelves
is
are empty. The living
It's
room
so
still
weird.
looks massive.
It's very big. It's very big.
The living room space still looks
They
massive.
have some sad kind of emotional music playing.
It's harmonica and
There's
strings.
There's some clarinet, some harmonica.
and strings.
It's just very sad sounding.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God,
and
this
the lights are like kind of dim.
this
It's like
giant apartment is empty. And we see Larry walk out of his bedroom holding a box. And Balky walks out of his bedroom holding a box.
and in Larry's cardboard box, there's like a trophy sticking out.
It's that baseball trophy.
I think it was his baseball
That was
trophy
with his
from like the
brother.
first season or whatever. Yeah.
Or something.
And then Balky's box is decorated with tassels.
Oh, of course
and,
it is.
And beads, Meposian style.
You see one of his vests in there.
And here I was kind of expecting some kind of joke to go
No.
out on or something, but we don't get any joke.
They
It's
open the
just very
front door
sentimental.
and
The
they just
music's
stand
playing.
there and they look at their empty
And Larry looks at the apartment. He says, I'm going to miss this apartment, Balky. We had a lot of good times here. And Balky just looks at him and goes, yes, we did.
I'm going to miss
And
this
they
apartment
walk out.
too.
And Balky stops and takes one last look in. Then he turns off the lights and closes the door and roll credits.
Oh, it's so sad. I'm going to miss this apartment. I was expecting Larry to go,
Remember when the door was over there?
The door was over there, and the fireplace was a little closer over here.
Remember
was no
when
back
there's
hallway.
no closet? Yeah.
This apartment that has some transformed.
Remember when we had an entire horse in here?
Yes. Remember when we had all the
Lying
livestock
down?
that have been in this apartment? It still smells like pig's feet.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was with them. I was like, I'm going to miss this apartment. Before we get into our thoughts, real quick, I want to let people know to visit our T Public shop if you want some podcast swag.
We got some more pictures this week from
we
cousin
did?
Whitney Smith
Wow.
wearing
I didn't
the
see.
shirt.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you so much for sending those pictures. It looks stunning on you.
You can
Just
get
stunning.
hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, cell phone cases, coffee mugs, tote bags, pillows, all with the Dance of Joy logo. Lots of fun merch
Love a good
over
tote.
there. So, you know what's funny about this whole ending is like
It really felt like the end of
this is how they
The
should have just
whole
ended
show.
the show. Maybe they should have stopped.
end of
because
the series.
if you think
series
of
finale
famous
energy.
series finales of ensemble sitcoms,
Yeah, I feel like Fresh Prince.
I know Friends did it.
Cosby definitely did it, even though that was one season too late too. They were all leaving to like
Yes.
college
Yeah.
or Hawaii or something.
I feel like Three's
everyone was
Company
leaving
did
the
it.
house. Yeah.
Definitely Friends did it. Just the shot of the empty apartment, lights out.
Yeah.
Show's over.
Yeah.
Not here. Not here. The show does go on, but I will
But
miss.
this should have been the end.
It would have been a great finale.
They
Wrap it
got
all up.
married. They invite their friends to live with them in a giant mansion.
We do bachelor party,
And
wedding, house, honeymoon.
That's
boom.
a wrap.
It's a giant apartment. I wonder how much the rent is for that place. So again, I thought they were buying
1991
a house.
prices. Yeah.
I forgot that they were just talking about renting.
But even Robin Leach only wanted to rent the house, not buy
you can
it.
rent houses though, so
Yeah.
I wonder how much that rent
Maybe he
was.
wanted it temporarily.
So I mean, that was a big emotional send off, and I will miss. I kind of did the same thing when I sold my condo.
Yeah.
and I cleaned it, and when you leave, you just look at it, and you're like,
No, I don't know. I
"You
lived
had
in
some good times, condo." I'll
I
see you
lived in
later.
a 200 square foot apartment. It was supposed to be for 3 months. It ended up being for like 6 years.
Same time these guys had their apartment.
And then I was like, I guess it was a little sad, but I was like, no, I'm ready to get some more space.
We've had a lot of good times in this
one
apartment.
room.
Is this when the show jumps the shark? I don't know. Maybe it already did. We'll have to think about
Yeah, I mean, overall, like, I don't know. I just found myself a little frustrated with the writing of this episode. Not
It
that
was
I can
so-
do better, but
well, but it was convoluted. And
it was like,
confusing.
why? There were a lot of whys. Like, why is Jennifer
You're like,
suddenly acting like Larry? Why did they flip the parts like that? Like, what was their plan for Balky and Marianne to live? Had they moved?
Yes.
Like, I just don't. Yeah, like.
Yeah. I tell you, it took
Why
me
ferret
after the
cheese?
third time watching it. I was like, "Oh, I kind of understand what they're hinting at," but woof,
Yeah, but
was that
it's so
convoluted?
it's not. Yeah, it's very convoluted. It's not clear enough.
No,
it's like
I was like,
vague.
what
Are we making this
kind
up,
of
or is this
reasoning
what they
is this?
wanted?
Who acts like this?
And
it was
like,
all right.
obviously, we knew they were all going to end up in the same house together. But
Well, but initially you wouldn't, right? And so you
Right.
want to write it so it's like, oh, it's a surprise, cute.
right.
And then and to give the apartment a send off, I think was nice.
Why did Larry never send the deposit for the original?
Where did they go on
apartment?
honeymoon?
Where did they go on honeymoon? Not even a mention or like a joke about some souvenir or something. You could have had a joke in there.
Nah, it's not necessary. You got to
Yeah.
keep it tight, keep it moving.
But I
Overall, the episode, I thought it was okay.
thought it was just okay.
It was
yeah.
okay.
Just okay.
It was just getting them out of the apartment was like the big thing.
Yeah.
Start this new life in the house. This is fine. This new house. This old house. This old new house. New house.
I think maybe the funniest part was Balky and Marianne's like cartoonish, very rated G making out where she's like stiff
That was
as a
funny.
board.
Robin Leach was good too.
Robin Leach.
He was
good,
having a
yeah.
blast with that. It was over the top.
Yeah,
so those
Robin
are like
Leach
the
was good,
highlights.
but everything else was just
It is all right. Sad ending. No joke. Okay, what did our list?
Larry's whole plan was just like weird and confusing.
That was
like,
plan. Such a risky
dumb.
plan.
Like that's the part. When we got to that part was when I thought, what are the writers doing? Like that's what they wrote. Surely they could come up with something better. But I'm not a writer, so what do I know?
They're like, sure, this will work. Moving on. All right. What did our listeners think
All
here? I
right.
bet we got
First
a lot
up,
of
we
comments.
have, we did get quite a few on this episode. First up, we have listener cousin Pam Hitchcock, who writes, I've said for a long time that Jennifer is the female version of Larry, and this episode really hits that home. Maybe that's what they wanted to convey, and that's why they had that role reversal. She writes, Bronson Pinchot's Robin Leach impersonation was spot on.
Yeah, I mean, he did sound like him.
To me, this was a purely transitional episode.
That's a good way to say it.
The empty apartment at the end made me sad, especially as I know most of the remaining episodes are just as empty. Ouch. With a little tweaking, this could have been the series finale.
That's what I said.
And gone out on a high note.
The whole show the whole series should have ended.
Just get rid of some of those horrible season 6 episodes and build up to this one. 10 Baba Stickies. That's
perfect
the bottom
Baba Sticky score.
That's the
Which is
bottom
the bottom
of the negative scale.
You can't get any more Baba
That's a
Sticky
negative 10, yeah.
than 10 Baba Stickies. But good thoughts. I agree with all those thoughts. It felt like we could have just ended the show.
Thank you, Cousin Pam. Yeah. Very good insights. Next up, we have listener Cousin Nicole Stoner, who writes sitcom logic mentally prepare. First of all, anything that starts sitcom logic is hilarious, and I'm going to love what comes next. Sitcom logic mentally prepares you for Larry's "we sure made a lot of memories" line to head into corny conversation territory or a final joke to end the episode, but it doesn't. It's his last line in the episode, and sometimes that's all that needs to be said. The cousins really did make a lot of memories in that apartment at the expense of repeatedly destroying the apartment and repeatedly annoying their downstairs neighbors, and somehow getting ever rewarded by a larger and larger living room.
Remember, they flooded the girls' apartment.
Basement,
too. And the basement.
Yeah.
And almost got electrocuted. They flooded their apartment upstairs.
Oh, my God. Yeah, they almost
caused
died.
a lot of damage. And I'll miss the basement.
Mm-hmm. And the listener, cousin Whitney Smith, writes, this episode should have been called Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, of course, a very famous horror movie from back in the day, because that's what this episode turned into when they moved into this dreaded
That's not a bad
house.
joke because it was on Elm Street,
It was
right?
on Elm Street.
So
It was actually, that's a good title.
Yeah.
Seeing the apartment empty like that really made me a little misty-eyed and tugged at my heartstrings. Honestly, this episode really could have been the series finale.
Again, yes.
Yep. Larry is already starting his marriage on the wrong foot. He forgot to put the down payment on their apartment. Question mark. Like, yeah, we didn't get that either. Also, that house was the only thing he could find. There weren't no other cute apartments he could find that looked like or was similar to the ones they meant to get. Yeah, all good questions. Like, why that particular house? Wouldn't they've looked at different ones? Anyway. The role reversal of Jennifer doing a let's take a look into the future bit, and I have, oh God, a plan, although it wasn't quite like that. She says that was kind of cute, but not as good as when Larry does the manipulation himself. And she writes, I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but again, another episode that was Baba Sticky, excuse my me-posium. Side note, the exterior shot of this house was also used in Family Matters as Myra's house.
I thought it was
Myra?
It must have been a relative or the grandma, because I knew it wasn't the Family Matters house they lived in, but I was like, I've seen this shot and I thought of Family Matters. So they did indeed use it. Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you for that, Cousin Whitney.
Don't be ridiculous, not said.
Of course I have, don't be ridiculous.
And here we did have a Dimitri appearance in the photo.
I hope they took the photo with them. It was
on the top.
It was gone at
in
the
the
end.
bookshelf in the apartment, but with missed opportunity to have it show up.
You could have had Dimitri
later
in the box that he's holding at the end, easily.
Or like even, oh no, but he wasn't living there.
He wasn't living there.
Yeah.
But right at the end when they're holding the boxes.
Correct.
Just put Dimitri on top of the box.
Correct.
How hard is this?
Yeah, where is the Dimitri intern?
I hope they took that photo. I don't know if we're going to get any more Dimitri appearances in that new house.
Oh,
does that picture
we don't
go
know.
up?
Come on.
Oh. I would imagine
Where
they put the picture
is
on
the Dimitri intern?
It's got to show up on the mantle of the fireplace, the photo. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, man. That would have been my dream job in the early 90s, to be the Dimitri intern on this show. I would have done it so well. Okay.
They would have promoted you to Dimitri, head of Dimitri. Chief Dimitri Officer.
Minder,
CDO.
Dimitri Whisperer. Chief Dimitri Officer, yeah. CDO. Now we are at PS Today or Perfect Strangers Today, which is the segment of this podcast in which we discuss, can this episode be remade? More importantly, should it? But can it be remade today? Does everything hold up content-wise and like props and stuff? Do we have the same stuff? What would need to change?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is the real estate market moves a lot faster.
Right.
None of these things would have been available for the amount of time.
That mansion is like $3 million.
There'd be like a line of people waiting. Everything everything is either condo or you got to buy it or rent it from the person who bought the condo.
So premise wouldn't really hold up because of real estate advances.
So you could do a thing that's a commentary on right now and the real estate market and how like the previous generation was able to afford one at a decent income, and now you have to be like really rich to even get qualified.
I mean, if they changed it a little bit,
they would be talking about buying a house and how crazy the market is.
Married people are still living with roommates again.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess that wouldn't have been a weird thing. I mean, the premise itself is, it is timeless.
Larry would forget.
Moving on. There's down payments on apartments.
Yeah, fair. Fair.
But you'd be checking on Zillow on your phone instead of going there. You wouldn't even need to go. Right. There'd be drone videos of a whole virtual
3D
tour.
Tours,
they could do a bit where he has like VR goggles and be like, Cousin, check out this house. And they fly through it.
Yeah, they could modernize it. Okay, fairly decent PS Today score for just a meh.
They could have Apple Vision Pro goggles and
if we were to remake it, I would want to know where they went on honeymoon. And
then you just make it the series finale and you end it.
Yeah, and make it the series
finale. Like the apartment's gone, we're done, it's over. The show's done. There's no more apartment. Nope. We're going to keep going for a little bit more. That's it for this episode. Next week, join us. I can't wait to see how they decorate this house. This is what I'm really most interested in. Where are they going to put the sofa? Where's Dimitri's photo going to show up?
What tassels?
Whose stuff goes where? There's, does Marianne get a say into where she wants? And apparently some royalty visits them. They're going to have a house guest, a very important house guest. And someone may be crowned as king of something. Let's just say.
King.
In the meantime, you can support the show in a multitude of ways, like buying something from our TeePublic shop or by sending some digdas, giving back some support, buying us a virtual coffee. If you visit our website, there is a button there that says buy us a coffee. It's a virtual tip jar. And we appreciate all the support listeners have sent in. Keeps the show going as we continue to suffer through the new house. Do we get to go in the basement? Will we see the attic? I'm dying to see the rest of this house. I bet they don't show us any other room in the house.
I think we're going to see the kitchen.
The kitchen needs to be in there.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it because of all the Maposium.
What's in the tower? I need to know what's in the tower. There's a tower.
This is like ridiculous. Yeah. And how are they going to decorate that windows? What do you call it?
The window seat.
The reading nook.
And will the walk-in fireplace be working?
And the laundry chute. Okay. You can also show us all the love and support by simply visiting our website, danceofjoypod.com. And from there, please click on everything that's clickable. You can click on things to go to different streaming services where you can subscribe to our show, leave us a like and a rating and a review and all that fun stuff. Each one of those clicks counts for something and helps us out. So it's really easy. Just take a few seconds and click around. Also from that website, you can press a button right there and leave us a voice message. We'd love to hear your voice. Tell us what you think about this house. Tell us where you think they went on honeymoon. We would love to hear your theories and your thoughts. What was the Santa Fe trap in the 90s? Were we right about that? And which Joan are they talking? Did Robin Leach refer to? Let us know. We want to hear all your answers. Or if you don't like the sound of your voice, which a lot of people don't, you can tell us all your thoughts in an email at danceofjoypod@gmail.com or drop us a note on any of our social media accounts. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
Make sure you put that deposit down or you're not going to get the apartment.
and your new bride will be very
Hey,
upset.
offer more rent than the last guy. That seems like a sensible thing to do nowadays. Makes no sense to me. No, the most important thing, of course, is to share this show with your realtor, with the people at the open house,
with your new roommates,
with all your roommates. Share the show. We'd appreciate all the eyeballs and earballs.
with your pig snout vendor.
Yes, share the show at the butchers where you pick up your
Eyeballs
pigs
and
now.
earballs.
Earballs.
I like that.
Eyeballs and earballs. That's what we need.
Share the show with a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way and helps us out. And we will love you forever for that. That's our show for today. And now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.